Welcome back to the kitchen, guys and girls. This is your boy, the Mad Chef, and tonight we're going to be making the best bowl of pasta you've ever had in your life. We're talking about Pastalaya. That's right, we're going back to the bayou. We're doing some Cajun food. This is a recipe I actually discovered by accident while looking up some new stuff to make for the channel. I made it for the first time like 2 weeks ago. Had a whole bunch of kids over here, picky eaters might I add. Most of the stuff they eat comes out of the microwave, a box, or a can. And this stuff is all fresh from scratch. And let me tell you, we had zero leftovers. So guys, if y'all are parents watching this, that's a win. So please pay attention to this. Pastalaya, as the name suggests, is practically just jambalaya over pasta, typically made with a trio of meats, some fresh veggies, aromatics. So let's stop talking about this and let me introduce you guys to what's going on. Like I just mentioned, we have 3 different meats. This is a really meaty bowl of pasta. And another thing that I like about this is it's a one-pot meal. Once you get past the prep, everything goes downhill. Prep is the most time-consuming part of this. So what I have over here is 1 whole link of andouille sausage. Like you guys already know, you can't spell Cajun without andouille. This is pork tenderloin that I've cut up into some cubes. This is one of those 2-pack tenderloins with the 2 pieces in it. That's both pieces just chopped up into cubes, put in here. This is 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've cubed up. This is 1 large jalapeno pepper diced and 2 celery sticks diced up. Again, like I did with the dirty rice. This is what we call a Texas Trinity because I don't really care too much for bell peppers. Instead of fresh onions, I've got about a tablespoon of onion powder because my wife's a really picky eater, and so am I. And the last couple times I made something with real onion in it, it was just too much. So this is a tablespoon of onion powder. This is a tablespoon of minced garlic. And an unusual item in my kitchen. This is just kitchen bouquet. This is a browning liquid. It's going to give you that deep, dark color you're looking for. Basically, this is just made out of heavily cooked vegetables until they turn about that color. A lot of onions and turnips and garlic and stuff like that. Doesn't really add too much flavor. It just gives you that look. All right, so we're going to start by seasoning up our meat. First thing we want to do is just season our pork with some kosher salt and some ground black pepper. Not going too crazy with this because, of course, pork is salty. So you don't really want to kill it on the salt factor. And we're just going to mix that up so it's evenly coated. Guys, if you're watching from Louisiana or if you're Cajun, let me know how I'm doing and let me know if I'm paying a proper tribute to your culture because I'm very passionate about Cajun food as well as other forms of food. I love to eat it. I love to learn about it. So guys, if y'all are Cajun, please let me know how I'm doing because I would love to hear it from you guys. All right, let me wash up real quick and then we're going to season up our chicken. And for our chicken, we're going to put in our homemade Cajun seasoning. And I still have leftovers. And guys, you really do need to watch my great chicken shootout video where I made Bojangles style fried chicken and some red beans and rice. This is the exact same homemade Cajun seasoning. So I have a link in the description and a card floating around so you guys can make the exact same Cajun seasoning we have here today. You're going to love it. You don't have to buy, you know, the bottle prepackaged stuff with all those preservatives and anti-caking ingredients. You can make it in your own kitchen and it only takes like a couple minutes to put everything together. Really common ingredients. All right. So after we get this done, we're going to heat up the stove and get this thing cooking. See you at the stove. The first thing we're going to do, now that our pot is nice and hot, we're just going to go down with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to make sure that covers the entire bottom of the pan. And now, we're going to go ahead and turn this heat down to about a medium heat. We want to add in our andouille sausage. And we're going to cook that down until it starts to crispen up. Should take maybe about 5-10 minutes. As you can see, we've already got a lot of good browning going on. We got some fond forming at the bottom of the pot. But I want them to be just a little more done. So we're going to give it another 5 minutes. So I'm going to pull this about a minute early because they're starting to stick. You want to remove these sausages with a slotted spoon. And you make sure to put them in a separate bowl, but don't line the bowl with paper towels. You want all that juice, all that flavor to be reintroduced to the pasta later. So let's go ahead and remove this. Now that andouille does not make you want to go ahead and eat now. Just the smell of that, there's something wrong with you. We want to keep the pork train going. We're going to be adding in all of our pork straight in the pot. Extremely vital that we sear this pork. So we want to leave it alone for a couple minutes, about 3 minutes. Then we're going to flip it, sear the other side, and we're going to cook this down. We want to make sure that we're taking our time with this, because you don't want to be serving this beautiful pasta with gray meat. Who wants that? Alright, been 3 minutes. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh yeah. Got some good charring going on. Some good browning happening. So we're going to flip this over. We're going to let it sear for about 3 minutes. And then we're going to cook this down until it's completely well done. Bear in mind, we're cooking over a medium-high heat. Alright, so after you get done searing your pork for the second time and then flipping it, it takes about 15 minutes for this to cook down. And this is what your pork should look like. Now you can optionally choose to cook it down a little bit longer if you want. But we're getting this to where it's just done. You guys see this? Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to remove it with a slotted spoon. Put it in our meat bowl. And all that stuff at the bottom is still going to stay there. Alright, and I know you guys probably saw the bottom of my pot after I got finished cooking that sausage. You're like, oh no, you done burned it. You burned everything to the bottom of the pot. Pork just came out. And look at the pot now. All that juice, all that water from the pork just moved everything off the bottom of that pot pretty much, and it cooked into the chunks of pork. And if you guys were here, you'd be able to smell this beautiful myriad of flavors. All that fond got cooked into the pork pieces, and it smells like a completely different kind of meat. I don't know how it happens. I'm just going to call it Cajun magic. So this is going to go back on the stove, and then we're going to toss in our Cajun seasoned chicken. And guys, I feel like it's common sense, but it's fairly important to note, in my opinion, we are cooking with chicken and pork. Please fully cook your proteins. I understand it's going to get reintroduced later and boiled into the pasta. But if it's not as cooked as you believe it to be, then somebody's going to be going home sick. And that's not acceptable. Don't worry about fully cooking your meats. Don't worry about drying out your meats by fully cooking them. Everything's going to rehydrate and soften up and tender up once it gets into the pasta mix and it starts boiling and it starts mingling with everything else. Alright, so we're going to cook this chicken the exact same way we cooked our pork. We're going to sear it for a few minutes, flip it, sear it, and then cook it down until it's well done, and I'll meet you after that. Alright, and our chicken is done, and I gotta tell you, this is absolutely one extremely diverse bowl of proteins here. And this is, and once you reach this spot of your cooking in Pastalaya, once you reach this point, everything kind of goes downhill from there. Now we're going to be working on our Pastalaya sauce. This here is 2/3 of the Holy Trinity. This is actually what's known as a Texas Trinity. This is one rather large jalapeno and 2 stalks of celery. Since we're replacing bell peppers, and those are quite large peppers, you don't want to just get any old jalapeno. You're looking to replace, fairly equally the amount of bell pepper that you would need. And in this case, that's 1 regular bell pepper. I feel like it's important to note that I seeded this large jalapeno pepper because the flavor of jalapeno is not really something that's supposed to be prevalent in Pastalaya or in the Trinity. But I'm not trying to deviate too far from the original cuisine because I do have immense respect for Cajun people and their food. This is just because simply I do not care for the taste of bell peppers. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook these guys on medium heat for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to add our other aromatics in. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes, and I know what you guys are saying. This probably does not look like a good situation for the pan, but don't worry. This is not actually destroyed. This is actually just the flavor coming down and caramelizing in the bottom of the pan, and we're going to be utilizing all that flavor. So don't worry, it's not actually dead. So this is 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and this is part 3 of our Trinity. In lieu of fresh onion, we have a tablespoon of onion powder, and we're just going to start stirring this in and toasting. That onion powder is actually going to make its flavor a little more powerful. I don't know if you guys can see this, but just the liquid from the garlic here is starting to break up some of that. So the key is to constantly move all your veg in the bottom of this pan. So even though we don't have, again, real onions in here, this toasting process with all that flavor is going to make it, still taste as though we have that part of the Trinity in there. It's all about flavor. And we're just going to get this stirred up for another minute. We don't want to cook this garlic too long because it's going to lose its flavor. It's going to burn. It's not what we want here. We're actually just building the foundation of our pastalaya. And all this stuff at the bottom that you see here is going to come right up. Alright, so that's all we're going to do with that. Now, other recipes will tell you to use water. We're going to build flavor here. We're just going to go ahead and start adding in a little chicken stock. This is just some low sodium chicken stock. We're just going to stir these veggies around. Oh, and I can tell you guys, this smells absolutely wonderful. You see that? That's starting to come off. Once this gets hot, that chicken stock's going to loosen up. You see that darkness that's coming into the sauce? That's what you're looking for. So we're going to add a little bit more. We're just loosening all that darkness out. And that's actually going to give your pastalaya sauce the color that you're looking for. Because all the pastalayas that I've seen are very dark in color. And part of that's because of the caramelization that happens at the bottom of your pan. And of course, we're also going to be using a darkening agent. And I can already tell you that there's like no resistance right now with this wooden spoon. All that stuff that's at the bottom is getting worked up. Okay, now's the next step. We're going to add all of our protein back in. I'm actually going to let this come up to a simmer. I'm going to add some salt. Not a whole lot. And this has been going for about 5 minutes, and it's about where I need it to be. So I'm going to pull this out for a minute and get all of our nice protein in. We have our sauce base, which is that dark liquid, and that's what you want to see. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cover all of our meat with chicken stock. This is low sodium chicken stock, because you got to think. We've got sausage, we've got pork, we've got some salty Cajun seasoning. So while we want to elevate our flavor, we also want to make sure that we're keeping our salt in check, because you don't want to show up totally fine to your friend's house, your family's house, eat a bowl of this, and go straight into a hypertensive episode or a stroke. Alright, so now we're going to push all that meat down, stir it, and now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of this kitchen bouquet. That's the darkening liquid. You don't need a whole lot, because we've already darkened up our sauce with the caramelization from the celery and the peppers, and then all that good fond from all the proteins. All that stuff at the bottom is getting worked up. And that's about the color that you want to see in a pastalaya sauce. Now, we're going to give it its last bit of seasoning, last little bit of flavor. And since the kids were here the last time I made this, I went a little easy on the spice. If there was only one criticism that I would have given myself, is it needs a little more oomph. So instead of 1 tablespoon, we're adding in about 1.5 tablespoons of our homemade Creole Cajun seasoning. We'll give it a good stir. This is literally how you want your pastalaya to look. Now that we've got everything in, we are going to push everything down like so. So I'm going to put a lid on this, turn this up to high heat, and bring it to a boil. Alright, ladies and gents, we have officially achieved a good rolling boil. Keep in mind that this does take a while to boil because we have all this meat and stuff going on in here. So it does take a good while for this to boil up. You want a nice, aggressive boil. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add in our pasta. This is just a regular 12-ounce box of bow ties. And we're going to toss that right in. I know it looks like it ain't going to fit, but it's going to fit. So we just got to really press down on these to get it submerged, get it playing with the meat. And the amount of flavor that these noodles pick up on is just absurd. Alright. That looks pretty good. But just to ensure that these noodles get cooked, I want to add a little more of this here chicken stock. You don't want too much more because you don't want to dilute your flavor. Alright, and so we're going to cook this pasta per packaged instructions, which is 12 to 14 minutes. I want to give it the full 14 minutes, but instead of cooking it uncovered, the first 7 minutes are going to be covered because you do want this sauce to reduce. It's supposed to be kind of like a glaze. So for the first 7 minutes, we're going to reduce this down, cook it with a lid on. Last 7 minutes, we're going to pull this off and finish it up the rest of the way. And I will see all of you at plating. All right, it's time for reveal, and would you look at that. That is a beautiful bowl of pastalaya. Everything cooked down wonderfully. So the only thing that's left to do is to grab a fork and try it. I apologize for the weird camera angle here, but my old stand broke on me in the middle of this recording. So we're going to go ahead and try this. Try to get a little bit of everything on this fork here. It smells wonderful. That is where it's at, y'all. All that stuff just kind of marinated and cooked together. So you have these really powerful flavors. All the stuff that was on the bottom of that pan just kind of cooked up into that sauce. Now, guys, what I love about Cajun food and Cajun cooking is it's a very inclusive category of cooking. It's not just a certain right or wrong way of doing things. I mean, there are some standards that you do have to follow, as with any kind of cultural cuisine. Of course, you pay your respect to the Holy Trinity. But, I mean, you don't necessarily have to make pastalaya with these three kinds of meats. I mean, you're like with a lot of Cajun dishes, you can put like shrimp or crawfish or anything like that in there. So you can definitely mix land and sea. This is my favorite way of making it. There's just so many bold flavors, but at the same time, very balanced. I mean, you don't necessarily have to use chicken breast. You can use chicken thighs. You can use pork chops, boneless pork ribs, boneless Boston butt, pork shoulder. Any kind of pork that you have in your household that you can cut up and make this dish with, you can use. So it's very inclusive. It's about cooking with soul and cooking from the heart. Now, all the Cajun friends or anybody from Louisiana or a Cajun that have watched this video, please give me your honest, open feedback, because I love you guys' food and culture, and hopefully this was a fitting tribute. For more content like this, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell a friend. Until next time, this is your boy, the Mad Chef, and I'm out of here.